Another beautiful day at Mahi Customs. Now, I still don't have a pressure washer. I really need to get onto it because I really need one. I need to clean the block, I need to clean the sump, I need to clean the head, I need to clean literally everything, and I can't do it. So I need to fucking get onto that. But for now, what I want to do is mainly get my bottom end ready. So I've prepped that block properly, clean the sump out, get the oil pump done, get everything assembled, so when the time comes, ripping the 20 horsepower bike in the background. Now I want to have it all ready to the point where when I have parts turn up, I can assemble my entire short block from my deck below and have it completely sealed up and ready to go. That's what I'm gonna start off with. I'm gonna rip that alternator apart and then get that casing out, and I want to clean my oil pump as well because I want to spray them both black. That's gonna be the way I'm gonna do it, and then leave that water pump alloy probably. But yeah, I need to crack into it. Definitely a bit of a slow one. Just ran the ultrasonic cleaner for a few things, like this rear main of the 30. That's got to be done. Cleaned up the alternator bracket. That's got to be sprayed. I've sprayed the oil pump black and the alternator silver. I thought was the way to do it. I think genuinely everything I need to do currently involves a power washer. The next thing is to clean the sump out because it is full of my bearings. They are absolutely everywhere. That is just the sight you want to see, isn't it? All down in there as well. And obviously this is just all dirty and they're scattered in here. Once again, well, it needs a power wash. I don't have one. What I will do in the meantime though is just pop these out, and I'll pop these baffles out and then put everything in the ultrasonic cleaner. Yeah, well, this thing is absolutely packed full of old bearings, which are going to have to be cleaned out. Part of the job. To make the most of it, I thought I'd better crack back into that 30 and do all the plumbing on it. So I've got can't do the head drain yet because I don't have the fitting, but I can do the VCT drain and the water lines. But I've just realized that I put the wrong fitting in the back of the thermostat. So this one here I put in is the AN8 line. I didn't even notice till right now. That's supposed to be an AN10 because the AN8 is supposed to be for the VCT drain, which is pretty annoying, of course. So I'm gonna have to rip that out and then put the AN10 one in and then fit my AN8 in the sump where it belongs. Gonna rip that fitting out. Now that was actually quite hard to get out. That had certainly welded itself in there with the steel stick that I used. So when I go to do that again, I will use this longer bulkhead and I'll just cut the end off. That should do it. It's threaded in and it should stay there. So I'm quite happy with that. All the fittings laid out. I can't throw them on the bench because it is absolute chocker with shit and engine parts. This is what I've got. There's my 10ANs, my 8ANs, the VCT flanges, and the 8AN hose. Oh, sorry, that's 10 and that's 8. VCT drain and head drain. Got my O-ring bosses and my block adapters. And without pissing around, I might as well chuck them in. First one to go in is the 10AN turbo drain. That one sits in there, all cranked up tight. Next one is the VCT drain flange, sits on there like that, all done up. Next one is the other water drain fitting. That is the rear one of the block. Once again, that goes to 10AN. One for the back of the thermostat housing here is going to be this one. This is usually a double bulkhead, so you would use this as the thread for the nut, and this would hold on to it would go through a wall or it'd be a pass-through, and that is your other side for fitting. But I don't have that. I bought this because I thought it would fit in there and be longer, but it's still not the right fitting, so I'm going to cut it out. Got my Genius plane set out. Now that is this fitting, which I've cut down. That was that long bulkhead which I had, so I've shaved it off. It is now a press fit into the housing. It'll only come in a certain amount and then stop, so it gives me a bit of a press fit. And to hammer it on and not damage it, got a 22mm socket like that. And in conjunction with that, I will put a bit of JB Weld wherever I hit it, right there, to help seal it up as well. And we should be rolling. I'll slow that up with JB Weld, sit it in there and give it a twist, make sure it gets everywhere. See it from this side. Make sure the JB Weld really gets in all the little bits. And there we go, we're tight. Flip that on there and send it home. Just like that. That is not going anywhere. Now that we've got that on, this would sit on here, 10 AN 90 degree, and then the 0 degree. And then I just need to make my hose up in here. So I'll chuck these on and get my lengths. Just giving that a rough mark out. Now when you sit that on there, that is obviously going to sit further back. And with time, that's where it needs to be. It'll be on that long line there, halfway down the thread. We'll cut that and see where we end up. Right, now I've got my piece of cut hose. Obviously I haven't really put them on, it's just sitting there. And this one here I need to clean up. And the important thing you do is actually blow these out. As you can see, hopefully that went straight in the camera and showed it. It gets full of dust. So when you go cutting AN lines, you need to blow them out with an air gun or just whatever. But when you cut them, you are in fact putting metal shavings and rubber straight into your line. And taping, of course, makes a huge difference, because if you don't tape it like that, your metal flares out and you can't get your fittings on, and you got to retape it and recut it. And then a test fit, and I believe that may be a tad long, but I will fit it onto my 90 degree first and then come back and check it. If I need to shave some more off, I can do that, no worries. Got that side fitted on there, it fits up no worries and it doesn't pull out. And this side here, when you mock it up, seems to fit pretty well. Now I'm just going to repeat that again, throw that fitting on and then go for final plumb up. Shed lights on now, but a light on the situation. Here's the final product, the fully complete coolant line. Put that side on there. Obviously pop that side on there. Fitting pretty good now that I've adjusted it. Got a little bit of a high spot here, of course, because it has to clear the oil filter housing. I reckon that is pretty good. The next course of action here is going to be this VCT drain, because obviously on the 25, a non-Neo, so DE Series 1 and Series 2, they are externally drained and they come out to about a bung right there. And looking at Bill's one here, drain at the top, comes down into the factory provision. That is still the same 3/4 MPT thread, just like the turbo drain. On an RB30, of course, I don't have VCT, single cam. We don't have that provision, and it's not worth drilling a hole in the block. It's not even flat anyway. It is easier to bring it down and put it in the sump about right there. This obviously uses a standard rear-wheel drive sump, which sits under here. I'm just gonna have to figure out where to drill my holes. I want it far forward as possible, of course, and it needs to be wide enough for the bung itself. So I reckon right here is where I'm going to go, and I can see the laser welded or the spot welded bits for the inside baffles. The way, if I am cutting into it, I can simply cut a small square or a nice half circle just to clear that. That was the fitting. Like I said, that was the one I jammed through the thermostat neck, which I definitely shouldn't have. And with a quick measure up, we are looking at 19 mil. Now obviously it's going to be imperial, but 19 mil I will drill for that. I know what tools I do have and don't have in my workshop, and I can assure you I definitely do not have a 19mm drill bit. I have a 21, but it's too big. So I think the easiest thing to do is drill it out to the biggest size I have and then hog it out with the Dremel is probably the way to do it until I get the right bitment. Managed to drill it out. It's a bit of a pain in the ass because, like I said, the baffle is also spot welded right in the way. Now I've die grinded it out and I've got my fitting there, but to be totally honest, they're really not great fittings. Probably not something you really want to run on a sump. Even if I Loctite the nut on the back, using these white little squash rings, even converting to O-ring, it's probably still not going to seal, and that is the last thing you want to leak is something on your sump. I think the plan of action here is to probably just go and buy a bunch of steel weld-on fittings, which is what I should have done in the first place, but we don't want to go hassling old Bill because he's always fabbing my stuff, but I might have to because that is just, it's a bit too hoary in my opinion. It's way easier to just pop a steel bung in there and weld around it, and then it won't leak because, well, it's welded in there. We'll have to come back to that tomorrow with that and finish that off. Something I can do though is the VCT feed. I like to get that out of the way and done. Just need to find out where to get the pressure supply from. The RB30, when I bought it, had this on here, which is perfect. It's a T that goes into the block. I've just got an adapter to run a brass T, and this should be 8th BSP, and hopefully with a bit of luck, that is NPT. It does appear to be. That is perfect. We've got one for the flange on the head, and I'll see one for here. And what else you get in the kit, where is it? It's a little bag in front of my face, is this. Now this is a little oil restrictor. You poke this in the end of your 3AN fitting, and that restricts your oil. And that this is also as nasty as it is, I'm going to throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner because I don't want that on my beautiful brand new block. Gone and done a bit of cleaning up. Now I've got my 8th MPT to 3AN fitting. That goes right in your head flange. Of course, with my luck, I got to put my sensor in, and this is in the way. So I'm going to whip this off with the power of editing magic. Much better. Right, now I can fit the sensor T in there. That's pretty easy. Now chuck my other 8th MPT to 3AN in there. And that's great. Didn't go too far. That is your restrictor you put in the end of your AN fitting. And then just like that, get it to focus. There you go. Simple. And in an even simpler sense, all you have to do is just put your line on. Simple. All done. Tightened up. Now, this doesn't sit anywhere nicely currently, but when this thermostat neck is on, it'll sit nicely underneath it, just like that. Run behind the water pump, between the neck, and down and around. And then you'll have a nicely plumbed VCT line. It is now the day after. Now, after I had fitted the oil pressure sensor and my AN fittings, well, for my VCT feed, I come to realize I actually did have a brand new fitting for it. In my box of little bits that I had. Now, I thought this was for my daily, my Navara, because I needed one which was a BSP. It turns out I actually bought two of them, and one was for the RB30. So this is how it looks now. It's a lot nicer. Just poke straight out, and then I can have my line come straight out as well. And that also is just going to sit up and tucked like this, right out of the way. I don't believe I showed my oil pump either. That is what I painted the other day. Gave it a prime up to fill the metal in because it was a bit pitted. I sprayed it black. I will go over that Nissan logo in white like I usually do because it does look pretty. And there is the alternator casings. These cleaned up quite nice. I like the silver that I've been using because it doesn't give a huge shine, just a little, like a low sheen finish. So it doesn't look like gloss, but it's not matte. I reckon they come out real good. And that is the middle ring. So I've just painted that black to match the silver casing, so that should look real clean. Yeah, well, that is where I'm gonna wrap it up for this one. Now, there's no real point adding on a bit more into the video. It probably would be a bit shorter than usual, but it's whatever. It's better than just throwing random stuff in to fill a gap. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up for this and go dig into another project I really need to get into doing.